Friday, March 17. Though nothing in the Bible warns against wealth, nothing in the Bible talks about wealth as increasing one's spiritual commitment either. In fact, the opposite danger is true. The love of money, Ellen White writes in Steps to Christ, page 44, the desire for wealth is the golden chain that binds them, that's people, to Satan. End of quote. In fact, since the foundation of Christianity, no church has ever partaken of such wealth and creature comforts as the church in many countries of the world enjoys today. The question is, at what cost? Such affluence surely influences our spirituality, and not for the good either. How could it? Since when have wealth and material abundance fostered the Christian virtues of self-denial and self-sacrifice? Can coming home to refrigerators stuffed with more food than we can eat, and owning 1 or 2 cars, and taking yearly vacations, and shopping online, and having the latest in home computers and smartphones make it easier to love not the world nor the things of the world? Though many members of our church don't have these luxuries, many do, and they do so at the peril of their own souls. We are not talking about the rich now, as in millionaires and beyond. They at least know that they're rich, and they can heed, if they choose, the biblical cautions given them. We're talking instead about many, even of the middle-class people who, amid smartphones, iMacs, air conditioning and SUVs, are fooled enough to think that because they are just middle class, they are not in danger of being spiritually pickled by their own prosperity. That's why tithing can be, if nothing else, a powerful spiritual antidote to the dangers of wealth, even for those who are not particularly wealthy. And that brings us to our 3 discussion questions for this week. 1. Even if we are not rich by the world's standards, why must we all be careful about our attitude toward money and wealth? 2. What are some practical things we can do besides tithing that can help us make sure we are not getting too caught up in the things of this world? 3. What would happen to you tomorrow if suddenly you could not buy or sell because you were numbered among those who, as it says in Revelation 14:12, who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus? How well would your faith fare? And now it's time for our mission story for this week, read by my niece Sibylla, who, like me, is also a volunteer. Thank you, Sibylla.
2 best friends, Bachifandu Kanjo. Bahadur Ibrahim was born to non-Christian parents who expected him to follow their faith in central Malawi. He had no problem with that because he did not know any other religion. But then an older brother married a Seventh-day Adventist woman and joined the Adventist church. As a teen, Bahadur was sent by his parents to live with his brother and his wife in Malawi's capital, Lilongwe. When Sabbath came, his brother expected him to go to church with them. Bahadur did not want to go, but he felt like he had no choice. For 2 years, he went to church every Sabbath out of a sense of duty. Returning to his parents in Kalaluma village, he thought to forget the Bible. But he made friends with another teenager who happened to be an Adventist. Bahadur admired his new friend very much for his kindness and gentleness. Everyone in the village admired the young man and spoke highly of him. One Sabbath, the friend invited Bahadur to go to church. What could Bahadur do? He went. He was glad to spend time with his best friend, even in church. As time passed, their friendship grew, and Bahadur listened to his friend explain that the Seventh-day Adventist was the true Sabbath of God. His friend gave him books to read. Little by little, he understood new truths about God and the Sabbath. However, he was not convinced that Saturday was the true Sabbath. Without his parents' knowledge, he decided to compare the Bible with his family's traditional religious books. As he read, he discovered that his family's religious books contained only one woman's name, Mariam, the mother of Jesus. He also discovered that Jesus is Lord. Bahadur decided to give his heart to Jesus in baptism. He no longer went to church out of sense of duty. He went to spend special time with his new best friend. After Bahadu's baptism, his parents disowned him and stopped paying his high school fees, leaving him unable to graduate with the rest of his class. Both of his parents died without accepting his decision, and many relatives continue to treat him with hostility today. But Bahadu has not wavered in his faith. "This is the best decision that I have ever made," he said. Today he is a student at Malawi Adventist University, studying to become a pastor. Thank you for your 2021 13th Sabbath offering that is helping to construct a community outreach and leadership development centre on the Mzuzu campus of Malawi Adventist University, where Bahadu studies in the Southern African Indian Ocean Division. This quarter's offering will support 6 additional educational projects in the neighbouring East Central Africa Division.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful. And here is a disclaimer. Contents of these lessons are not intended to be financial advice, but is general commentary based on biblical principles. The reader is encouraged to seek competent professional advice which will suit their particular personal situation.